Welcome to the General's Gentleman.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Ashes of the Singularity. Today I will be giving some commentary about a game that I played. So this footage that you're seeing, this was played yesterday and I'm now giving commentary. I find it very hard to try and multitask, giving interesting and compelling commentary while sounding enthusiastic and talking constantly is something I struggle with while playing. I'm a shoutcaster, I'm not used to doing that, so I have a great deal of respect for those people that are able to do that. RTS really is the most difficult genre to do live streaming or let's playing because there's so much constant decisions that you have to go through. And whereas if you compare that to something like, an open world RPG, it's certainly much easier to talk about what's happening. So I'm playing a game, this was against Grandor-CZ, and I'll be explaining some thought processes of what I was going through, explaining just a bit about the game and what I'm doing with it. So I'm working for Stardock now, as well as I'm sponsoring my channel. My technical position, I suppose, is a design consultant, which is pretty open, which is where I just give them feedback on how to improve their game. So what we're actually playing on now is a beta test, which I've been working on. Essentially, it's like a mod where I've just been balancing the game, increasing strategic diversity, and just making it a lot more compelling in general. And so hopefully my changes, or at least a lot of them, will get implemented into the main game. I haven't quite got that far yet. There's been a lot of other stuff happening, so it remains to be seen what's going to happen exactly with my beta. But you'll notice some changes if you're familiar with the game, and I'll explain some of those as they occur. We're also, we have like a beta group that I rely on for feedback and such. We've also been fixing some of the maps, so Knife Fight, the sides of this map are now open up. It's a lot more flanking routes. And we have actually updated this since this video. There's now, on the sides, you can actually connect the points without having to go through the middle. So, yeah, basically, at the moment, we're on tier 1, so you've got your frigates, which are your low tier units. You generally, you only really have frigates for the first few minutes, and then you tech up and start getting your cruisers, your tier 2. But you still mix them in, because Ashes has a hard counter system. So, well, not really hard, but it has a counter system. I guess it's kind of a soft counter system, or at least it's hard in some situations, but in other cases it's not, which is kind of more of a balance thing, which is what we're working on. But so say you'll have like the Zeus, which is a cruiser, which is strong versus the frigates, and you'll have the Athena, which is a cruiser strong versus other cruisers. So you do have to think about your composition and adapt it as the game goes on. So I also want to get some smarty turrets up as fast as I can, because this map is very about those central points, the Turanium generator in the middle, which is like a victory point in Company of Heroes, and that central point there, because it's my cutoff. I want to try and get some defense up ASAP. And so the smarty turrets have been buffed in the balanced beta. They're much stronger. They're pretty awful in the live game. The artillery post is also much weaker, but it's still very good to have. I think I get one of those a bit later on. So I'm surprised he actually hasn't attacked the middle, because I have that pretty secure now. The dream is if I can get an artillery post and a couple of smarties there defending it, then it's going to be a lot harder for him to push through. But I'm actually running low on radioactives, so I can't actually get any upgrades yet for my defenses. I only have one radioactive point. Until I get the one on the left, I won't be able to do too much more. The good thing about Smarties is that they only cost the metals, so you can just spam them, if you have a lot of excess metals, which often happens. So yeah, the first fight here, he's going Pure Reaper, which is the tier 1 units. Generally, the Substrate tier 1 doesn't trade so well versus PHC tier 1, but I don't have any medics at the moment, or at least not in that army there, so it was a pretty even fight. Medics do make a big difference, even though they've actually been nerfed in this, because the medics are really overpowered in the live game. So I have a lot of defenses down here, so he needs to get the Destructor. Destructor is an artillery unit. He just outranges those defenses and kills them pretty quickly. Kind of like Supreme Commander and how the defense systems work. So I was trying to build a Sentinel turret there, but I couldn't get it off in time. It takes a while to build that, so I had to retreat my engineer away. Now I'm just trying to reinforce this position while I'm actually capturing the sides. I believe I've got that left radioactives. The radioactives on the map, the mini-map, is the triangle icon. And the metals is the circle. Metals is the primary resource. Radioactives is more like a high tier thing. Certain upgrades, certain cruisers use it. And then you'll have like dreadnoughts which use it a lot. So it's kind of like Vespene gas in a sense. Probably the closest comparison it is. Also air units use it a lot. So yeah, the Smarties are doing pretty well versus those Reapers, but on their own they'll just get overwhelmed. Since he has a lot of Reapers, what I really want to do is just get a lot of frigates. Getting some Zeus is a good idea as well. But the Athena is necessary to take out the cruisers. The Athena has actually been nerfed a lot in this. Rad cost went up. The not in this build, I don't think, where the main gun damage was reduced. The secondary weapons was halved, so it's much weaker versus frigates, where previously the Athena was basically anti-everything in the ground. But Reapers actually do pretty well versus it. Even same with the Zeus, the Reapers actually do insanely well. The thing is with Reapers, they have armor penetration, and the Zeus has armor, but less health than the Athena. So the Reapers would actually kill the Zeus pretty much as quickly as the Athena. So he actually has an engineer there. I sniped him down though. He was trying to build a Annihilator cannon. I took him out. Engineers are very expensive in this, and they're very fragile too. So it's easy to snipe them, and if you do snipe them, then it's very punishing. So that's something that you always want to try and do if you see them. Or one of the great uses of air units is scouting out for engineers and sniping them down. So he actually has a drone launcher. Drone launcher is pretty good defense. They do AoE damage, and they're mainly good versus frigates. I think I have a Artemis. Yeah, the Artemis there is on the way. I can't point because it's a video that I'm watching. But I have an Artemis. Artemis is the artillery. Oh, and the artillery post-finish too. Okay, yeah, so that's the artillery thing that's firing, which is very overpowered in the live game, and it's been nerfed in the mod slash beta thing. You can see there's a much slower projectile, so it isn't as good versus moving targets. It's less accurate, less damage, and it has a 12-second reload time still. But yeah, this Artemis will allow me to take out that shredder turret, well, the drone MRV. The Shredder is the name of the upgraded drone turret. So there's actually a few defenses, and they do different things. Like the Annihilator is a cheap kind of anti-frigate cruiser. The Pulverizer is like an upgraded, is like a different thing. That's the Annihilator there. They're shooting at my frigates. Yeah, Pulverizer is like anti-cruiser with long range. The drone is like an isn't like AoE thing. So there's different defenses kind of for different reasons. Which is nice, and you can upgrade them so to improve their strength. So I want to try and cut him off on the left, because if I get this point on the left, it actually gets the one in the corner as well. There is a connected supply line, like in Company of Heroes, so you can actually outmaneuver your opponents by cutting off their supply lines. So I'm actually building a air factory now, because I have a lot of radioactives. Often it does actually happen is you float up radioactives and not metals. So going for just a lot of air units is a great way of doing that. Okay, so I caught him at a great time here. He's actually upgrading his Annihilator to a heavy Annihilator, which is the yellow turret there is upgrading, so that's why it's not firing. I'm going to kill it just as it finishes. So one of the reasons why scouting is important in this game is so that you don't do that. Is so you don't upgrade your turret just as enemy units are advancing it. If that was upgraded, It probably wouldn't have mattered too much because I still had 2 Artemises, so I could have just outranged it. But it would have bought him some time to reinforce with his army here and actually take out my army, but maybe before he killed it. So scouting's a bit harder in this, at least in live. I am working on making scouting better. Like right now I'm building the Pans. Pans are a scout unit, they're like a flying scout, and they have triple the health. So they're actually very durable now. In the live game, they're just too fragile. So now I actually go to cut him off here because his army's out of position. His army went in to defend his left supply lines, which left his cut-off here, which is both sides completely exposed. I won't be able to hold that position though, because he's actually going to be reinforcing it any moment now. But that will delay his income, certainly. See me just earlier, I was putting an amplifier. Amplifier increases the income by 50% of a node. So it's very important to get those. That there, I think that's a heavy annihilator. Yeah, that's insanely good. Actually, I've nerfed annihilators and heavy annihilators and a few other defenses. Not in this build. Like the build that you see was a couple of days old. I don't think it was yesterday. I think it was 2 days ago. So there's been more updates since then. But yeah. He actually went for my top right metal point as well. I actually had a few defenses there though. I believe I had 3 Smarties, so that was enough to hold him off. He wasn't a big force. Okay, getting some upgrades now. Also, I finished my power regulator. That allows me to actually use the amplify orbital ability, which then boosts the income of an amplifier. So it's a very important investment for increasing your economy once you already have an amplifier built. So I actually have a fair bit of Tyrannium at the moment, at 30%. If that goes to all the way to the top, then you win. At the top of the screen, the Tyrannium indicators, like the victory points. That was the amplifier then. So I don't know how many amplifiers he has. I know this guy typically goes through his amplifiers very fast. And it's good to have them fast, but generally I find that investing in them too early can put you too far behind. You need to have a lot of field presence in the game ASAP. So I generally find that you don't want to rush them too much, but you do need to get them pretty fast. Like probably around 10-15 minutes, whereas this guy will build them at like 5 minutes. I don't know if he did this game or not, but a lot of games we've played, he's pretty much just lost the game outright because he's got too much economy too early on. Okay, so I have Hades now. Hades with the bombers. So I avoided that because he had the air defense, the Blossom launcher, and now I'm looking just to snipe some extractors. Kind of serendipity here because I find an engineer and snipe that one down. Engineers are very expensive. I actually mentioned that, yeah. So sniping engineer is very important. Slows down your opponent's economy or production or whatever it is, and it just, of course, makes them have to re-spend that money. And so now with the Hades, I just want to try and snipe as many extractors as I can. Extractors die pretty much instantly. They're very cheap to replace, but it's just the lost mining time. By the time you rebuild an engineer, you move it in position, you build the extractor, you actually can do a fair bit of harassment. So now what? My radioactives are pretty low at the moment. That's because I'm building an amplifier. Once that finishes, I should be able to start getting a bit more income. That's actually a big army.
You have superior Tyrannium levels.
Yeah, I need to regroup here. I've been going for the flanks, so I'm a little bit vulnerable here to just a mass attack. But at least I still have a fair bit of defense. Also, that artillery turret, artillery post is going to be very handy. But for it to work, it needs to actually have something scouting for it. Yeah, I'm just amplifying more of these generators. So, if I haven't mentioned this, Quanta is a third resource. You get Quanta by building the quantum relays, and you spend Quanta on a range of things. There's your logistics, which is your population limit, which increases. There's abilities, such as, like a radar scan, orbital strike, the amplify thing I was using earlier. There's just the passive upgrades, like the increased damage and such. So it's important to get a lot of Quanta and spend it, but also they are to build the quantum relays, it's very radioactives heavy. and so are things like, you know, the amplifiers. So there's a lot of decision making in terms of what do I build, you know, amplifiers, orbitals, air units. He actually has some anti-air mixed in. He has the Sky Cleanser's little anti-air frigates. And yeah, now I just need to consolidate. Try and get all the extractors, because I haven't actually built all the extractors, because there's been a fair bit of aggression on the sides. GG, he's calling. Yeah. Yeah, he lost all the territory. My army's too big now. It was a shame he called GG that early. So, yeah, that was, oh, the video's ended. That was a quick little look at Ashes of the Singularity. It actually wasn't the video that I wanted to do. I recorded another game as well, which I think was a bit better, but unfortunately I couldn't use that one. There was some technical issues with it. It was like a really low frame rate, which was weird, because this one came out perfectly. So, hopefully you found this one interesting. And yeah, this balance beta is actually really fun. The live game's pretty unbalanced, so there's a big job ahead of me, but I think I've got most of it done thus far, and hopefully we can get this implemented into the main game ASAP, and I think that'll definitely help things out. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this one. I will be posting some more content for Ashes of the Singularity, and I will be sticking with it, doing a lot of work on it, because again, I'm now employed by them, which is awesome. So I'm very glad for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it'll go. Cheers.